Ladies and gentlemen, there is a war going on today, not in the streets, not in the skies, but in the mind of every man. A war between the top G mindset and the average mindset. One leads to destiny, the other to regret. You see, the average man wakes up and bows to his emotions. He's driven by fear, by comfort, by doubt. But the man with the top G mindset, he bows to purpose. He surrenders to a higher standard, not just for himself, but for those he leads. And I've come to tell you today, you were not made to live small. You were not made to live safe. You were created with strength, with fire, with a calling that demands everything inside of you. But the question is not what you were made for. The question is, will you answer the call? There comes a time in every man's life when he must choose, will he live for comfort or will he live by conviction? Comfort whispers, take it easy. You've done enough. You deserve to rest. But conviction shouts from deep within the soul, you were made for more. Stand up. Go again. Don't settle now. The truth is, comfort is the easy road, the broad path that many walk. It's where the average man lives. He wakes up and lets the world tell him how to feel. If he's tired, he stays in bed. If he's uncertain, he backs away. If he's afraid, he hides behind excuses. Comfort becomes his king, and he bows to it daily. But the man who lives by conviction, the top G mindset, he does not serve comfort. No, he serves purpose. He serves discipline. He serves the vision that was planted in his heart, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, because he knows that anything truly great demands sacrifice. Conviction does not need applause. It does not wait for motivation. Conviction is what makes a man keep going after failure. Conviction is what makes him rise when he's fallen 7 times. Conviction is that fire in the bones that cannot be ignored. It is the whisper of destiny that says, this is who you were born to be. Now act like it. The world today tells men to relax, to numb themselves, to indulge, to coast. But let me ask you, what has that mindset produced? Broken dreams, bitter regrets, empty lives, men who had potential but no power, men who had talents but no tenacity. That is what the average mindset delivers, a life that is full of potential and empty of purpose. But the man of conviction is different. When it's raining, he trains. When he's rejected, he sharpens. When he's alone, he reflects. He does not wait for the world to change. He changes himself until the world cannot ignore him. And that, my friend, is what separates the uncommon from the common. Conviction isn't loud. It's not flashy, but it's relentless. It's what makes a man keep his word even when it costs him. It's what keeps his spine straight in a world that bows to pressure. Conviction makes him say no when everything in him wants to say yes to distraction. It is the invisible code he lives by. When no one's watching, when the lights are off, when there's no reward in sight. And here's the truth that every man must face. Comfort feels good for a moment. Conviction feels right for a lifetime. Comfort builds ease. Conviction builds legacy. You don't need more sleep. You need more purpose. You don't need another excuse. You need a reason that's bigger than your fear. The man with conviction knows that greatness is not stumbled into. It is chosen daily. It is forged in the fire of decisions that nobody sees, but everybody feels. So today, if you are tired of being average, if you're sick of drifting, then plant your feet on the ground and say, I will live by conviction. You will be mocked. You will be misunderstood. But you will also be respected. And more than that, you will respect yourself. Because in the end, comfort fades. But conviction builds men. Conviction builds nations. Conviction builds a legacy that time cannot erase. And that is what you were born for. A man without discipline is a ship without a rudder, tossed about by every wave, carried away by every wind. He may have talent. He may even have dreams. But without discipline, those gifts are wasted. And worse than wasted, they become a burden. Because he knows what he could be, yet he watches himself drift further away from it every day. You see, discipline is not just a habit. It is not just a routine. It is a sacred duty, a holy obligation. It is the silent promise you make to yourself and to the one who gave you breath. I will not waste what I've been given. In this modern world, men are being told to follow their feelings, to do what they feel like doing. But feelings are fleeting. Feelings change with the hour. And any man who is ruled by feelings will never know power, will never taste greatness, will never fulfill his calling, because true greatness requires the ability to do what must be done, even when the heart isn't in it, even when the mind resists, even when the body aches. The man with the top G mindset understands that discipline is what separates the warriors from the watchers. Discipline is what gets him out of bed before the sun. Discipline is what drives him to train when others quit, to study when others scroll, to rise when others fall. Not because he wants to, but because he must. He doesn't need someone to remind him. He doesn't wait for the world to give him permission. He holds himself accountable because he knows that discipline is the price of freedom. You cannot be free if you are a slave to laziness. You cannot lead if you cannot even lead yourself. And this kind of discipline doesn't just affect the body, it shapes the spirit. Every time a man chooses discipline over comfort, he strengthens his will, he sharpens his focus. He becomes more than just a man, he becomes a force, a presence, someone others can trust, someone they can count on, someone they will follow. Because discipline is not about punishment, it is about alignment. Alignment with who you truly are. The man you were created to be. You are not your urges. You are not your excuses. You are not your distractions. You are something deeper, something stronger, something eternal. And discipline is what brings that real self to the surface. Even when no one sees it, it matters. Especially when no one sees it, it matters. Because the private victories are what prepare you for public ones. When you win the battle behind closed doors, when you deny that second hour of sleep, when you walk away from the easy way out, you are building a foundation that cannot be shaken. You become the kind of man who cannot be moved, not by temptation, not by failure, not even by success, because your roots go deep. You've trained them to, through discipline. So do not resent the hard things. Embrace them. Run toward them. Because every act of discipline is a declaration: I am not average. I am not ruled by weakness. I am becoming who I was destined to be. And when the day comes, and it will, when life tests you, when storms rise, when everything seems to fall apart, it won't be talent that saves you. It won't be luck. It will be discipline. It will be the strength you forged in the quiet, in the unseen, in the grind. So rise up. Take your life seriously. Treat your discipline not as a burden, but as a calling. Because that calling is your path to greatness. And you were never meant to live beneath your potential. There comes a moment in every man's life when he must stop pointing outward and start looking inward. When he stops blaming the world, his parents, the economy, or his circumstances, and begins to say, if it is to be, it is up to me. That moment is called responsibility. And until a man embraces it, he cannot call himself free. We live in a time where it's fashionable to blame. Men are taught to seek someone else to hold accountable for their pain, their lack, their stagnation. But blaming others is the vocabulary of the average mindset. The man with the top G mentality speaks a different language. He says, no matter what has happened to me, I am responsible for what happens next. Responsibility is not about guilt. It's not about shame. It's about power. The moment you say, this is mine to carry, is the moment you reclaim the authority over your life. Until then, you're at the mercy of everything and everyone. You're a puppet pulled by invisible strings, circumstance, mood, excuses. But when a man takes responsibility, he cuts the strings. He stands tall. He becomes the one who writes his own story. Responsibility is not always fair. It's not always easy, but it's always right. Life will hand you unfair cards. People will lie. Doors will close. Pain will come. But how you respond is still your choice. That's what defines you, Not what happens to you, but what you do with it. And the man who leads himself, the one who accepts full ownership of his thoughts, habits, relationships, and outcomes, he becomes unstoppable because now he can learn, now he can adapt, now he can grow. While the average man says, "Oh, this isn't my fault," the top G says, "It is my responsibility to fix it." Do you know what happens when you live like that? You stop waiting. You stop complaining. You stop settling. You look in the mirror, and instead of seeing someone who's behind in life, you see the general of your own army, the CEO of your own destiny, the captain of your own soul. When a man walks in responsibility, he becomes dangerous in the best way, because nothing can be held over him. He doesn't fear being exposed. He doesn't fear being called out. He's already examined himself. He's already held himself accountable. And that's the kind of man others respect, trust, and follow. Responsibility changes everything. It changes how you treat your body because you understand that your health is no one else's job. It changes how you earn because you realize no one owes you success. It changes how you love because you stop waiting to be understood and start working to understand. It is the mark of maturity. It is the line between boyhood and manhood. Boys run. Men return. Boys point fingers. Men offer their hand. Boys dream of victory. Men carry the weight of it. And let me tell you something, there is no freedom without responsibility. That's the irony. The more responsibility you take on, the more freedom you experience. Because now you're not at the mercy of life. You are leading it. So if you've failed, own it. If you've fallen behind, own it. If you've let your standards drop, own it. Because the moment you own it, you gain the power to change it. This is not about perfection. It's about ownership. It's about standing firm and declaring, my life, my choices, my results, it's on me. And when a man lives like that, the world may not give him what he wants, but it cannot stop him from becoming who he was meant to be. Long before a man wins in the world, he must first win within. The true battlefield is not the gym, not the office, not the streets. It's in the heart, because no matter how strong his body, how sharp his mind, how bold his words, if his heart is weak, he will crumble when pressure comes. The average man thinks the fight is out there. He prepares for life like it's just about skills, money, or competition. But when the lights are off and the doors are closed, when no one is watching, that's when the real war begins. It's the war against apathy, against fear, against weakness. And that war is won or lost in silence. Before a man lifts the weight, before he builds the business, before he earns the respect, he must confront himself. He must stand in front of that mirror and ask, do I believe in myself? Do I trust my strength? Am I willing to go through the fire to become who I was meant to be? And most men never do. They fold under the weight of invisible battles. They appear confident on the outside, but their heart is filled with hesitation. They seek comfort because they have no vision. They follow trends because they have no anchor. They quit early because they've already given up on the inside. But the man with the top G mindset knows this. Nothing on the outside matters if the inside isn't right. He knows that discipline starts with a decision, and that decision must come from the heart. He doesn't wait to feel ready. He decides he's ready, and the heart follows. The strength to keep going when others quit, it's born in the heart. The courage to stand alone, it starts in the heart. The discipline to deny comfort and walk the hard road, it rises up from deep within the heart. That's why you must guard it, train it, and fill it with the fire of conviction. Every day, the heart is being tested. When the alarm goes off early, when the diet calls for sacrifice, when the world offers shortcuts and distractions, these are not just small choices, they are the daily battles that determine the future. Because the man who wins those tiny, hidden wars is the man who one day walks boldly in victory that others call overnight. There are no overnight victories, only hidden battles, secret choices, private moments of strength that no one claps for. That's where the real champions are forged. That's where kings are made. If your heart is full of excuses, you will never rise. But if your heart is full of vision, if your heart is set like flint, unshakable, then the world may resist you, but it cannot stop you, because you have already won where it matters most. Men fall not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack fortitude. And fortitude is not built by chance. It's built by choosing strength over softness again and again until the heart beats with purpose, until the mind serves the mission, until your life reflects the fire that burns within. The world will offer you 100 reasons to quit, but your heart only needs one reason to keep going. That reason may be your family, your name, your future, or simply the man you know you were created to be. Whatever it is, hold it tight. Remind yourself of it daily. Let it fuel you, because in the end, success is not about talent, not about timing. It's about the man who shows up heart on fire when everyone else has gone home, the one who's done the work inside, who's faced himself and refused to back down. That man is unstoppable. And that man, if you choose, can be you.